to you, Lindsay?
Am I out and about, am I? Right, yes, I'm out and about. And it probably doesn't sound the greatest, but I'm stuck in, I say stuck. I'm on my way back from Glasgow, basically, today, where we were an in-person event yesterday. We worked out it's the first time back in Glasgow since 2019. Would have
Well,
been obviously earlier than that. But there's something called the dreaded P pandemic got in the way and kind of scuppered stuff. So we basically obviously love Scotland. We have our lovely conference there in Edinburgh each autumn. So we love getting up there. And we were just trying to get people back out doing things. So this was a new one for us. Eileen, if you just press just the button once, I'll give you just some little snapshots will be coming up. This is an interesting one for us because we've never done this type of in-person event before. We've actually got to have a look at what the tangible things are that the PMO has been supporting over the last, and we talk specifically about the last 7 years, but there's been so much stuff that they have been supporting. And we got to see some of it from the old in terms of the kind of things that they have to look after. I think it was, I don't remember the exact figures, but it's something like 124 graded buildings. So that's the old stuff, as well as doing a lot of new things as well. So we were able to have a nice tour for about an hour and a bit, which was great. And got to learn some of the stuff in the background. And you can see here, last thing that it's just dropped on one of the newer buildings in the background, and still more work to be done. They have done so much stuff. But we got back into one of the new buildings and then actually listened to them talking a little bit more about what the PMO has actually been doing, so what it's set up to do, and essentially how they've changed over the last 7 years. And if you just hit onto the next button, Eileen, one of the things that we wanted to talk about, because they were sharing their journey, is basically, how where they started out in 2017 to where they are into the present day. This is Mandy, who did the presentation. She's a PMO manager there. And she shared this. I'm not going to give you loads of insights because obviously we're going to be sharing this in the members' library. But there was just a couple of things that stood out that I did want to share. She was talking about their team. So yes, it's an estate, it's campus, it's buildings, and what you're seeing on screen right now is the makeup of the people that make the team. If you just hit it one more time for me, Eileen, you can see this role on the bottom left in the middle. It's something called a soft landings manager. And what's struck me is that we're not just talking about, yes, this is, capital, buildings and constructions and things. But when we was talking about this role, soft landings manager, I'm like, hold on a minute. So what they're talking about here is the bridge between projects into business as usual. So the bit where, a new building or a new department, faculty, or whatever is getting handed over. So this to a lot of us that are not working in that kind of space would be kind of post-implementation type stuff, that handover period. Bit where actually most project managers walk away. And most PMOs don't necessarily look at this piece either. And it's actually quite a nice title, but it made me think about, well, this is where all the stuff is about the change management stuff, about how projects and the outcomes of it are then, utilised by the end users. There's the benefits realisation piece in this bit, but they also had other little things that they're, when I say little, other things that they're doing to make it a smoother transition. So I thought, that's quite nice. I'm going to look at that more because I think there definitely is. Why do we not have a specialist within the PMO that is focusing on that gap? I get that project managers are moving off, but PMOs are there for our remit is to support successful delivery. And we know we're doing a lot more stuff that kind of makes that bridge into business as usual. So I think it was really, really interesting what you pull out of somebody else's experiences. But that was an obvious one. But I want to delve into it a little bit more to see, so what do these people do normally on construction projects, and what can we take away in terms of the kind of things that they're doing? Because we could be missing stuff. I think we probably are. But next slide. So we're gonna, that was the thing that kind of popped out to me that I quite liked. But we also did an interactive exercise because what Mandy was talking about is that their PMO journey, she started 2017. And when she first started, it was very much a supporting PMO. If anybody who's not familiar, these definitions that you see on the screen now about what kind of PMO, they come from predominantly from PMI. I don't have the links or anything, but maybe one of you, Eileen or John, could probably find it. Is the different types of PMO in terms of the kind of approach that they take, rather than just saying, oh, it's a project work and portfolio type PMO. So they started very much as a supporting PMO. So, what I would class as, doing the kind of, making sure that we have the method in place and that people know where to go for a template. And the PMO is very much doing a lot of kind of like minute taking, action tracking, all that kind of stuff. They then changed just before the pandemic into a controlling PMO. Worst decision they ever made, an absolute nightmare. A lot of the work that they were doing, they wanted to move away from just being that kind of administrative support. For controlling PMO didn't work within the environment. Project managers started staying clear of them. They started thinking that they were the PMO police. But then since then, they've moved very much into number 4, which is where they wanted to get to. It's taken them a while to do it. If you just hit on the button again, Eileen, because we did a little interactive exercise session, and you'll see a scenario that we shared, which was just, obviously get people thinking about. If you took on a persona of one of those types of PMOs, how might you have dealt with this scenario? So, something for people to go at. But if you just click off it again, Eileen, one of the things that came out of the feedback after the exercise is that you recognise that actually, when people sometimes read about these different types of PMO and that you're going for a certain type, what becomes really obvious is that actually the PMO is taking bits from each one of these. They are not just I'm a critical friend PMO and we don't do any of that other stuff. But what becomes really obvious is actually there is a mixture of things that PMOs are doing because of the context in which they're working, the different types of people they're working with, and the different stakeholders need different things from the PMO. And I think it was really obvious to us listening to that session that 2017, there was a direct link between the maturity levels of the project management capability. And over the 7 years, that maturity level of project management delivery has gone up, and therefore the types of PMO has also changed over time. I don't think many people make that link, but I also don't think many of us, if you were coming into PMO quite new, maybe becoming a PMO manager from a different part and getting used to what is PMO, and you're reading things like this from PMI, you may be thinking, we need to get to number 4. That is something that we have to aim for. And I think the realities are, and listening to what people were talking about yesterday, is that actually you do take bits and pieces from different places. We have Alan on the call. Alan, you were there yesterday. I don't know if you just want to come off mute for a second. How did you find it? I mean, you were there as a PMO flash mobber.
Yes.
How was it for you? What did you take away from it?
I think it's the little things that you pick up. I mean, we did the tour, we walked around the building, and while we were walking around the building, we were all talking. And it's the tiny little things that, you realise there's a building that was built in 1870, and you're thinking, how can you manage projects with a building that's 1870 from 1870? The listed status on that must be terrible. But then you've got new buildings as well, so you've got new build, you've got old build, and this PMO is having to manage projects for both at the same time. So it really is little things, and it just getting people together was really, really good. That's the important bit. The conversation over pizza was amazing. We also went for typical up in Scotland. We went for a little drink afterwards, and the conversation kept going there as well. and the conversation kept going on the underground as we were going back to the hotel. We were going, so that's the good thing about the flash mob. If anyone's not been to one before, it doesn't stop when the session stops. The conversation keeps going. And even on LinkedIn, Mandy, who's on the Zoom call just now, we've connected on LinkedIn. There was another chap who came from London. I've connected with him. We're having a conversation. So, the flash mob just keeps going.
Super, thank you very much. And Mandy, I didn't realise you were on the call, so thanks for joining us, and fantastic session. And we know we're going to be learning more from you. But thanks very much for doing what you did. And just another one, actually. I'm just going to call it out. Mandy'd never really done this before. Mandy was really nervous. And we sound, and I know you're going to love it as soon as because you are, talking about a subject that a lot about, inside and out. And then she smashed it. Nobody in that room knew just how nervous she might have been. But so that's another shout out for anybody who's listening to this, both here in the room with us now or out there on LinkedIn. Really do think about coming in and sharing your story with us, because it might be a really nerve-wracking thing to do, but I promise you that you're talking about something that inside and out, and you're never going to have another audience that's hanging on your every word to find out about what you've been doing with your PMO. Yes, it's a room full of geeks, so but anyway, yes. So more to come from the insights and stuff. There were loads, so we'll be sharing those really soon. Yeah. That was me out and about, still out and about. But yeah, over to you, Annie.
Yeah. Still not home yet, but we'll be at some point after a nice week.